Welcome, creative friends. Today I'm going to show you how I made these adorable trunks for Jasmine. Now she's not traveling, but maybe one day. Here are the sizes. If you want to see them, just pause now. Now I'm using frozen food packaging instead of cereal packaging because I found out that they're much sturdier. Like if I use 2 of these, I'll be using 4 of the cereal. Here I'm gluing 2 parts of the box of the trunk, the bottom part, and I'm going to be gluing the other 2 parts together. And when they're completely dry, then I'm going to glue the box together, all 4 pieces, and then going to glue it onto the base, which I didn't show you, but I will show you how I did it on the lid. I just cut a piece of the dryer sheet, and I'm leaving like 1 centimeter above the lip to fold it inwards later on. Now I should have colored the box before, at least white or cream color, but I forgot. Oops. Here I'm just putting varnish. I'm not gluing it with glue, varnish, because that's what will give me that effect of leather. And if I had a light color under it, that would have been the perfect effect, just like I had with the books. But I forgot. I'm going to be cutting the sides and removing them. And here I'm just cutting some angles so I can slip it inside. The corners don't have to be perfect because I'm going to be covering those. Now I'm going to be making the lid. I'm gluing all the pieces onto 2 layers of cardstock or packaging. Now this is a piece of normal cardstock that I measured around inside the box, and now I want to cover it with fabric. That piece of cardstock is a little bit taller than the box that I made because I want a piece of it to be coming out. Now this is only varnish, not glue, because glue is going to stiffen it up and I don't want it to be stiff. Where each corner of the box or trunk is, I'm cutting a triangle. This is going to be on the bottom, so the fabric doesn't crumble up on top of each other. You see the lid, I removed the weight that was on top of it. I'm gonna try my fabric out to see the measurements, if everything fits, and show you how it's supposed to go in. See, like that. And I'm going to be folding the edges, making it nice and clean. Don't want the fabric to fray on me. And now I'm cutting the lid. And I'm going to be sanding it just a little bit, not a lot, just to round the edges. I don't want them that sharp. After I painted the box, I noticed little dots in my dryer sheet. If you can see them, I really didn't like those. It didn't turn out to be just like the books. there's something different. So I went and checked on the dryer sheets and look at the difference. I think the one on the left with all those dots didn't melt away all of it. Like I need to use it again to get rid of whatever the fabric softener is. And the other one, I had nothing. So keep in mind that not all of them will be looking the same. Here, this is the cardstock that I made the books out of, and there's already dryer sheet glued on it or varnished on it, and I'm just using my ballpoint pen to make an indentation because I need something so I can fold it in half, and it still wasn't folding properly, and I needed to use that again. After I folded it, I painted it. I can't remember what the color name was. Some flesh color or something. Cashmere tan, I think. Not sure. And that's where I'm going to be placing it. And that's why I said I really didn't care about the corners being 100% because they're going to be covered up. Now I'm painting the lid inside and out all green. And now it's time to glue in the piece of fabric and cardstock. I am using PVA glue here. And oops, I put a little bit too much, so I had to remove some of it. Now to get those pieces of fabric all lined up on the bottom, I needed to use my poking tool. It took a little bit of struggling here and there, pulling it out, trying to lay it flat. And when it's completely flat, then I'm going to be putting the extra glue that I had, not smearing it, just dabbing it on. And this is a small piece that I cut. It's a little bit bigger than the bottom. It doesn't matter. You won't see it. Just lay it down flat, and then with the glue brush, again, put glue on top of it and dab it on. Don't pull it, or then your fabric will just go everywhere. See, I'm just pushing it. Now, I was thinking of using these hinges, and then I remembered the agony I went through putting the doors up and thought, let me make something different this time. You could use these hinges if you have some, but I decided on using something else. Like if you don't have any hinges, we're going to be using dryer sheets. These are 2 dryer sheets glued on top of each other with varnish. So it's much thicker. Now I cut a small piece, a triangle, and I'm going to glue one side first, and after it's completely dry, then I'm going to be gluing the second side on. And oops, wrong side. I was lucky that I caught it before it dried. I put it in the front instead of the back. And now I'm checking which side of the lid I want to be in the front and which goes to the back. Here I cut a thin strip of the same dryer sheet, the 2 layers, because I want to make like, what do you call that? Straps? But because the dryer sheet is very thin, I want to give it some more height, make it look a bit thicker than the rest. So I'm going to cover it all with Gorilla wood glue, and I'm leaving it there hanging to dry. I cut 4 circles. The first one, I'm gonna be eyeballing it and cutting a triangle off. And I was lucky that I didn't cut too much. I'm using the same faux leather that I used for the books. Now, if you haven't seen how I made the books, I'm going to be putting it in the description below for you. Here, I put a plus, so I'll know exactly what I'm cutting. Now I got some jewelry, knickknack stuff, and I found I had this one, which I liked a bit of the design, so I'm cutting it out. And those sharp edges, I'm gonna be sanding them, so because they are dangerous, so be very careful. I'm gonna be using super glue. I don't have the patience, and I don't know if any other glue would really work with that metal. I'm putting a spacer on top of it, and then I found I had a small glass bead, and I put that one in the middle of the spacer opening. And here I took one of a jumper rings and I made a small slit, and then I just pushed it in and glued it. Now that the wood glue is dry to the touch, I'm gonna paint it. And I'm using a very small square in these square pliers, and I made out of the wire 2 small squares. I wish I used a smaller gauge wire, but oops, that's what I found in front of me at the time. I think it was 18 gauge. I should have used maybe 20. But no problem, because it gave me a hard time pushing in the piece of faux leather that I made, the strap. I'm not going to show you all the struggles I went through to pull it through. And I was too lazy to make another one. Don't ask me why. I just should have made another one with another wire. But no, I was stubborn. I was going to make this one work whether it wanted to or not. And then I just glued that little extra piece to secure my little buckle. I made the second one, cut them both the same length, and now I'm just gluing them on. Now, if you see how pliable the strips are, it's because the glue is not 100% dry. And you have to work with it when it's still movable. Because if it dries 100%, it's going to be stiff. And that's going to be too late. You're going to have to make a new one. Now, I already poked holes. And then they disappeared. So I'm poking them again to make them wider so they will show. And I'm gonna start gluing the strips from the front of the box first, or the front of the lid. Get both of them the same measurement, and then I'm gonna glue the rest on. Oh, and I put a little sticker, nail art. I liked the colors, and they were exactly the same color like what I painted my stripes or leather strips. I can't speak English today. I wanted to make more holes, but I wasn't going to puncture them, so I got one of my very thin pens, and I'm just poking in and putting some black so they'll show. And then I did the same with the holes that I already made in the front, because they weren't showing, they just kept on disappearing. Well, finished one. Now for the second one, I'm not going to show you how I did the whole thing because it's almost the same. I'm just going to show you a little bit of the variations and what you can do. After everything is done, Mod Podge, matte, because I don't want it extra shiny. I put Mod Podge on everything except the fabric. Now this is the head or the top of the lid, or the side of the lid. Okay, the side of the lid of the second box. Got it. I just made half a circle on top of the triangle. And these are going to be the front and back. Now after I glued them together, I'm going to be sanding it a little bit, not a lot, because there is going to be a little bit of an opening, but we're going to fix that. Don't worry. Here I glued first one side, a rectangle piece. I was using the same cardstock that we used for the books, and after it dried, I folded it over and glued the second side. Now just removing all the excess. And I'm going to be varnishing a small piece of dryer sheet on one side and then on the other side. And when they're dry, just cut them off. And that's how it looks. And now I'm going to be paper macheing coffee filter, just small pieces, and covering it all up. And you won't see any of the openings or anything. It'll look just like one nice piece. I decided to paint this one blue. And I'm just going to show you a little bit of how I decorated it. Now I cut this one into 4 small pieces, and I'm going to be bending them in a 90-degree angle to put them on the sides. And I decided to make another one, colored it red. You can make any shape, any size, same process. Just change the decorations and they'll look very different. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'd really like to hear from you. See you next time. Bye.